Hello everyone, how are you? This is Peter the Amateur. So I know it's been a long time since I've made a video for this channel. To be honest, I had stopped playing. I didn't know if I would come back because I was getting bored with the arena because of standard and what was happening with it. When I saw the new alchemy format, I thought it was too expensive to play, but I've still been watching channels while I was not playing. But now I think I'm back. And one of the reasons I'm back is the historic brawl format. I really love this format. It's really fun. It's different. It's not as competitive. There are still some weird combos that people can do, infinity combos, but they're not as reliable as a historic format, historic brawl, because you only have one copy of each card in your deck. So historic brawl, really dig this format. Really think you should try it if you haven't. It's really fun. But today, so in the future, I will post historic brawl videos mostly. I don't have the wild cards for the new format, as you can see, so I don't think I will be playing, unfortunately. Even if I would buy the Mastery Pass, it wouldn't be enough to have enough wild cards. So, anyways, I don't think I will be playing for this reason. But I still want to do an overview of Standard and see the potential of the cards, how they can be used, and go over the cards I think have the most potential and that we will see the most often in the format, in the current format. So I will go over the 1 mana cost, 2 mana cost, 3, 4, 5, 6 and more, and over the lands, of course. So let's start with the lands. There are 4 new rare lands with the new edition, and there is no reason not to put them in your deck if you have the wild cards, because they enter untapped. You can tap them for mana of the color or for an ability at instant speed. And what's special with those cards is that there is almost no way for your opponent to counter those abilities or to interact with them, because they're not spells, they're abilities. So if they want to counter them, like they need something like Snakeskin Veil or a counter spell that says counter target ability, and those are very rare. I'm not even sure that they exist in the current format, so they're very good. I mean, there is no reason not to use them whenever you're using a deck with this color. They're too good. This is one of the best ones, I think, the white land, because it deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. It's really good. The black land, mill 3 cards, then return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Early game, in my opinion, the way you play this land is if you have it early in your opening hand, you play it as a land. If you draw it late game, you can use the ability for added value. So I think it's really good for this reason. The red land is not as good. It's one of the... Yeah, it's not as good, but there's still no reason not to use it. Because you create at instant speed 2 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens, and they have haste. So you can either do it during your opponent's turn or during your turn. There's no reason not to have it. But again, 2 1/1s isn't that great. For green, so it's a green land and costs 2, who enters destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land an opponent controls. That player may search the library for a land card with a basic land type, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So you can, I mean, it's either a land or destroy artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land. How great is that? I mean, it deals with creature lands, it deals with artifacts, enchantments, or it's just a land. This is crazy good. So, crazy good, great value, crazy good, okay, in my opinion. This is how I rate them. So, the 1-mana cost. There aren't many good 1-mana costs, in my opinion, that we will see everywhere in the current format. The best one, I think, is Dockside Chair. So, it's like the Skullport Merchant in black that costs 3 and that creates a treasure token, but without the treasure token. So you can sacrifice an artifact or creature and draw a card. Even the ability is better than the Skullport Merchant because the Skullport Merchant says sacrifice a treasure token or a creature, draw a card. So you can sacrifice more stuff with this guy. Again, pay attention if you play against Sharn, but other than that, it's a really good value card that protects you from board wipes, from targeted removal, and gives value from the cards you would otherwise just lose. Or it can probably be used to make some combos in black with Meat Hook Massacre and stuff like that. Then you have March of Burgeoning Life. So this costs X and a green. So, as an additional cost to cast the spell, you may exile any number of green cards from your hand. This is not a great part, and the spell will cost 2 less for each green card that you exile this way. So it's basically for mono green deck the way the card was thought, I think. But it doesn't have to be in a mono green deck, but it's probably better in a mono green deck. And it's great because it's at instant speed. So you choose a target creature with mana value less than X. So if you choose 6 and a green, you fetch a card that's worth 5 in your deck. So you search your library for a creature card with the same name as that creature. You put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So it's one of the good ways that green can deal with counterspell decks. Or it adds some element of tempo to green decks, which I think is really good. And for this reason, I think we should see this card. Not too many copies, maybe 2 in a deck, in a green deck. You don't want this in your starting hand because it's more expensive for the card that you're looking for, but it's still really good to add this element of tempo that you may need in certain situations. So I think we will see this card. It's really good. I think we will see it. At the 2 mana cost, we have Chemy of Transience in green. It's a 2/2 with trample, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on Chemy of Transience. At the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return Chemy of Transience from your graveyard to your hand. So yeah, so this is going to be played with sagas, because that's why enchantments are put into the graveyard usually. And it's really, it can go, it has trample, it costs only 2, and it grows bigger. So it's really in the spirit of mid-range green deck or aggro green deck. More like it feels aggro to me. This card feels aggro, but I think we will see it quite often. Then you have Goro-Goro, Disciple of Ryusei. I don't know how to say this. Anyways, it's a 2/2 that gives your creatures haste for 1 red. Just that is crazy good. And you can create, if you pay 5, a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. You activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. So modified creatures are the ones that have equipments, auras, or counters on them, stuff like that. But this is good value. It's a good card. It gives haste. I think we will see it because haste is just too good. It's just too good, especially in red aggro decks. So this should be part of red aggro decks. I mean, you should be afraid. You should be afraid of this whenever you see it on the battlefield because you don't know what will happen next turn. it could get out of control. And it's good if you have it late game as a late draw. So I would put 4 copies of this in a deck, because if you draw it early, you can give haste to your creatures and put pressure on your opponent. If you draw it late, as it enters the battlefield, it can give itself haste, then attack, then create a 5/5 dragon. So it's good value. At the 3 mana cost, let's start with this one. Biting Palm Ninja. It has ninjutsu 3. So ninjutsu is when you have an unblocked creature that is attacking. So it doesn't have to be a specific type of creature, just a creature. It can be a token, anything, a spider with death touch, something with menace. Anyways, whenever you have an unblocked creature, you can use the ninjutsu cost, and as it enters the battlefield, it has a menace counter on it. So either the ninjutsu cost is the same cost as the card's cost, so it's 3, 2 colorless and a black, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a menace counter from it. When you do, that player reveals their hand and you choose a non-land card from it. Exile that card. So it's basically a 3/3 creature with menace for 3 that makes your opponent discard and exile a card from their hand. It's crazy good. It's discard and a creature. So it's insane value. Just that. Gravelighter. This is good. I really like this card. So it's either removal or draw. And if it's draw, it's also a creature. So it fits well in a Kaya deck, for example. It's really good. I don't know if we will see it that often, but it's a good value card that has many uses. It may be a bit slow because, but again, and it's untargeted removal. So I don't know what to think of this. It can be good in a Turgid deck, definitely, and in any black deck that uses a lot of token creatures. So yeah, it's kind of a good value card. It's a bit slow though, so it depends. It's more for the control types of decks. Fable of Mirror Breaker. So this is a saga that on the first turn you create a 2/2 red goblin shaman creature token with whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. So there are other sagas that existed in the past that just created a treasure token on their first turn. So this is better than other similar sagas that existed in the past. Because you have a creature and a treasure token. You don't have it right away, but I mean you will attack with the creature, and whenever it attacks, you create a treasure token. It's good. Then you may discard up to 2 cards. If you do, draw that many cards. So you may do it, you may not do it. Depends on the situation. The second step is not that great, except if you're playing a kind of graveyard deck. It can be good. But I'm not too sure about the second step. But the first step is good. You create a treasure token. It's ramp for red. Then, third step, you exile the saga, then return it to the battlefield transformed. So when it returns to the battlefield, it's an enchantment creature, a goblin shaman, that has, for 1, you tap it and you create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste. So you can copy any non-legendary creature you have on the battlefield every turn. It has haste and it can attack. You sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. This is crazy good. I mean, it's just too good. You create a copy of anything that is not legendary. There are so many possibilities you can do with this. And the good thing is, you get to ramp before with the Goblin Shaman. And you could copy the Goblin Shaman as well. Because it's not a legendary creature, the Goblin Shaman that you create. I mean the token one on the first step of the saga. So it's really good. It's really good. So you could either ramp even more or just copy a big creature like I don't. Goldspan Dragon is probably legendary, but I'm not sure. No, it's not legendary. You can have multiple on the battlefield. So yeah, you could copy Goldspan Dragon, for example. Think about it. Okay, then we have Kaito Shizuki. This is one of the new Planeswalkers. It costs only 3, and in my opinion, if you're playing blue and black, there is no reason not to use it. Let me tell you why. At the beginning of when it enters the battlefield, at the beginning of your end step, it phases out. So you don't have to protect the Planeswalker that you just put there. Your opponent will not be able to interact with it once for the first turn it's on the battlefield. After that, it will stop phasing out. It's only for that, but I mean, you don't have to worry about protecting it. It's really good. And on the first turn that it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 blue ninja creature token with this creature can't be blocked. Then on the next turn, you activate the +1 ability after attacking with the 1/1 blue ninja creature token that says it can be blocked. And that's it. You draw a card every turn, just with that. It's insane value. It's also a good way to activate your ninjutsu abilities whenever you're playing black or blue. So it's really great. A really good Planeswalker. We will see it. It's good value. It's only 3, so it's good value early on. You don't have to protect it. I really like this. Next, again, in blue and black. This is something that is so overpowered. I don't know if you realize, if you've seen this guy, but this is nonsense. It costs 3, and each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu, 2 blue and a black. So, Hullbreaker Horror, for example, you can cast it for 4 if you have an unblocked creature, and it's so easy to have an unblocked creature because creatures can't be blocked. So there is almost no way to prevent a Hullbreaker Horror on turn 4 if he's there, for example. It's crazy. I think this card should be banned. And it's too good. It's really too good. Really OP. This is gonna break the format in my opinion. This is gonna be in the top tier deck. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's too good. Oh yeah, and I didn't read the rest, but whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library. Or on the bottom of your library, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. It triggers only once each turn. So it's draw, and it's Hullbreaker Horror. So you can look for example, you can look for Hullbreaker Horror with your ninjutsu abilities. It helps you fetch the cards you need because you go through your deck faster. So it's, again, I think this should be banned. It's too good. It's a way to cheat your mana cost, and anything that allows you to cheat your mana cost is OP, usually. I mean, this is like what was the name of Winota? Yeah, I think this is like the new Winota deck, in my opinion. It's something on the same level. Alright, at the 4 mana cost, we have another Planeswalker in white. It has Flash, a Planeswalker with Flash. Yoo-hoo! So, and it's not only the Planeswalker that has Flash, its abilities have Flash too. So, well, as long as the Wandering Emperor entered the battlefield this turn, you may activate her loyalty abilities anytime you could cast an instant. So it's only the turn it entered the battlefield that its abilities have Flash. But yeah, When it enters the battlefield, you do the -1. You create a 2/2 samurai creature token with vigilance. Then, at the beginning of your turn, you put a +1/+1 counters on it, and it has first strike until end of turn. So it's a 3/3. And it keeps growing. And look at the samurai token. It's kind of awesome. And for -2, you can exile a tapped creature. So you can flash it, exile a... You can flash it in to exile an attacking creature. It's really good. Really, really good. We're gonna see this card. It's a really good Planeswalker. Then, the dragons. There are 4 dragons, I think. 1 for each color. And they're all crazy good. The red one, it has flying, it has trample, it's a 4/4 for 4. And when it dies, you choose one. You exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So, yeah, kinda good. Or you create 3 treasure tokens. Kind of good too. So it's either ramp or I mean that you could combine this with the decks that use smashing to your face like spells. Anyways, there are so many possibilities. So you can ramp, you can replay the value from the card that you lost by exiling 2 cards. It's really good value. This one, Thundering Raiju. It has haste, and whenever it attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then it deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of modified creatures you control other than Thundering Raiju. So, on its own, without the second part, it's good, because for 4, you have a 3/3 haste creature that gives itself +1/+1 counters. So for 4, it's a 4/4 haste creature that keeps growing every turn. It's really good. Really good. We're gonna see this in red aggro decks. Ryu Storm's Edge. It has first strike so it's a bit expensive for the creature itself, but whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, untap it. If it's the first combat phase of the turn, there is an additional combat phase after this phase. So you can attack with this guy alone for the first combat step, for example. Then there is an additional combat step after this one. And for the additional combat step, you can attack with all your creatures. There is no stopping you from that. So it's kind of good. And there are spells that give indestructible to your creatures. So yeah, I think this is good. This is a good card. It's kind of a combo card where you need to combine it with other cards. So I don't think this will be in top tier decks, but it's good. It's a good card. And there's another black card that costs 4 that I didn't put here. It's a creature. What's the problem with the display? So it's a 4 mana cost that I forgot to put there. And where is it? It's not one of the new cards? Where did I see it? Oh, I saw this card today, and I thought this was really good, but it was in the previous version. Okay. This is a crazy good card, by the way, a 5/6 for 4. I just realized I thought it was in the current format, but it was in the previous format, and it's a 5/6 with flying and trample for 4. It's just too good. Anyways, back to where we were. The 5 mana cost. So we have more dragons. In white, we have a legendary creature, Dragon Spirit, with flying, vigilance. It's a 5/4. And again, when it dies, you can look at the top 7 cards of your library, Put any number of non-land permanent cards with total mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Or you can put 2+1/+1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or a vehicle. This is crazy good value. This is gonna be in white aggro decks with a lot of cheap creatures and with enter the battlefield triggers. It's just too good. I mean, your opponents see this, they don't even want it to die, but it's a 5/4 with flying and vigilance. Anyways, this is crazy good. Junji, the Midnight Sky. It costs 5. It has flying and menace, and it's a 5/5. So it's really hard to block for your opponent, because not only does it have flying, but it also has menace. So they need 2 flyers, or 2 creatures with either flying or reach, to block it. So, yeah. It's only missing flash. But when it dies, you choose one. Each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. So this is good. Or you put a target non-dragon creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose 2 life. So black is becoming really strong with this type of creatures. Because remember the other one I showed you? You could put this on the battlefield. It's not a legendary. Anyways, you replace a 5/5 with a 5/6. Hey, kinda good. So yeah, Junji, very good creature. Next, the Green Dragon Spirit. It has flying and death touch. And when it dies, so it's a 4/4. The other ones are 5/4 and 5/5s. This one is a 4/4, but it has death touch, so not as good. When it dies, you search the library for up to 3 land cards. You reveal them and put them into your hand. Or so it's the other ability that's good. The dragon itself is not that good, but when it dies, you create an XX green spirit creature token where X is the number of lands you control. So when it dies, the creature that replaces it is even bigger. So yeah, it's good. It's a good creature. And you don't miss your land drops with it. Invoke the Ancients. So this is for mono green decks, obviously. It's a sorcery, it's a rare. You create 2 4/5 green spirit creature tokens. For each of them, put your choice of a vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter on it. So you have 2 4/5s for 5 mana. And combine this with Esika's Chariot. You have Esika's Chariot on turn 4, then on turn 5 you cast this, you copy one of the 4/5 that's there. It's crazy. And by the way, you can copy the token that's with Esika's Chariot that's created with this as well. So we're gonna see Kura, the Boundless Sky, Invoke the Ancient, and Esika's Chariot in the same deck with the Planeswalker that creates a token, Ren and 7. And you're gonna see Ramp before that, kind of mid-range green deck that creates huge value really quickly. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. Green is gonna be strong. Mono green is gonna be strong with those cards. And you have Farewell that costs 6. So it's expensive removal, maybe only 1 copy in your deck. But it's still 1 copy that's worth putting there. You can exile all creatures, all artifacts, all enchantments, and or all graveyards. So many possibilities. You're playing against an enchantment deck? Exile everything. And their graveyard, because they're using their graveyard too. This is good. You can exile all creatures. You can exile all artifacts. It's good. You can exile everything. It's like start anew. You're in a difficult situation. You cast this. It's not difficult anymore. it's a good card, but not too many copies. The cost is kind of complicated and expensive. You could play this in blue and white, probably. Would be the best use for it. Mono white aggro, not so much, because if you need to cast this, you're probably done. Brilliant Restoration, it's kind of expensive, and it's for mono white decks, obviously, because there are 4 whites in the mana class. Return mono white enchantment decks, so return all artifacts and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is a finisher. It's cards that say return all from graveyard to battlefield. Usually they're OP, so this is gonna be very strong. I haven't looked at how it can be used precisely, but it's a strong card. It's a strong card. Okay, in blue, there's not so much for mono blue in the current format, from what I've seen. It's more like, I don't think mono blue will be strong. It wasn't strong before, it won't be strong right now. It needs some love, but this, it's more like blue with other stuff that's strong. Mono blue, not so much. But whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. This is amazing! Just that! It's amazing. You can copy your spells and choose new targets. It's really good. It triggers only once per turn, but only once? It's enough. It's enough. Then, whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter that spell. This ability triggers only once, each turn. So, how are you supposed to remove this creature exactly? Because if you cast a spell on it, it gets countered. So, one of the few ways to remove it is with abilities or enchantments. Other than that, your opponent is gonna have a really hard time countering it. Because, for example, Westgate Regent, you need to discard a card to be able to target him. But you could still go around it with Soul Shatter, but this, you need to cast 2 instants or sorcery spells in the same turn to remove it. Or if you're a control deck, otherwise you're kind of screwed. You can't get rid of it. So things get out of control. But it costs 7. But again, it doesn't have to cost 7. It doesn't have. Just saying that blue and black is gonna be really strong. So that's all for my overview of the new cards. There are 24 of them, which I think are really strong and that provide really good value. If there are more cards that you think are good, let me know in the comments. I'm curious to discover them. I'm just going through the format at the moment. I'm discovering it. I'm seeing cards I like. I can't use them because I don't have the wild cards, but I really think mono green and blue and black are gonna be really strong. It's not Dimir Control, it's more like Dimir Aggro or Dimir Smash Your Face. But yeah, Dimir Control is gonna be crazy annoying. Mono green is gonna be crazy strong. I don't know. Those are gonna be the 2 biggest. Those are gonna be top tier decks. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Bye bye.